Hey ProGuides family, how's it going? Welcome back to our channel. My name is Nathan and I'll be your host for our weekly news update. Like always, I'll provide you guys with the latest information to help you guys stay up to date with what's going on in the game and with the scene. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content like this, and let's get started. In regards to game-related news, we're expecting to see massive system changes soon. One of the biggest issues players have had with Season 12 is the subjectively absurd amounts of damage available. In particular, player frustration in regards to burst damage is at an all-time high. However, we've recently seen various mentions of upcoming balance changes from different rioters. Riot has been hinting at damage reduction changes for quite some time now. While there are certainly many approaches Riot can choose to balance the game, this one takes into consideration the overall player experience. Is it fun to get one shot with zero chance of reacting in time? Most sane people would say no. Instead, Riot wants players to feel like there could be an actionable next steps they can take to avoid future incidents. It should be clear to players where they messed up, or why they lost the fight. Burst damage is tough to balance. It's important to keep squishies in check, but when it's too strong, it certainly feels like there's nothing that you can do about it. Another point that Riot has brought up is that longer teamfights heavily reward good decision making. Game-changing opportunities can arise in the heat of explosive fights, but those golden moments don't present themselves nearly as often when you die in less than a second. Hopefully, with the durability changes that Riot has in mind, assassins and champions who rely on burst damage will have direct counterplay. This, in theory, should favor pretty much everybody aside from assassins. In fact, Riot has stated that one goal of these changes are to realign the state of burst champions like assassins. In their opinion, it's okay for assassins to be able to 100-0 an opponent if they commit all of their resources. Only when very ahead should they be able to do so without using their whole kit. Not intending to take the nerfs too far, Riot is also going to keep an eye on certain champions and make the necessary adjustments in the future. That said, we finally have some definitive information as Riot recently released a set of gameplay thoughts from their devs. Rather than directly nerfing damage, Riot is taking a different approach in hopes of solving the game's current dilemma. They're going to increase champion durability, which should theoretically accomplish the same thing. After all, the main goal is to increase the length of fights and to reduce the power of burst damage. As a result, the following stats are going to increase next patch: base health, health per level, armor per level, and magic resistance per level. With these increased offensive stats, Riot is also going to make adjustments to other systems in the game to make sure that they don't get out of hand. Once again, Sustain is up for nerfs, while Baron, turrets, and mana regeneration are all getting buffed. To clarify, these are necessary changes, as with more durability, Sustain ends up to be much stronger. Each point of health is valued higher for each point of resistances that you have, and Sustain effectively gives you more health to work with. Mana regeneration increases are necessary, since champions who actually rely on the resource will notice that they'll need to expend more to pick up kills unlike before. Finally, Baron and turret buffs should keep them at around the same strength or stronger than before. At the end of the day, here's what Riot expects the overall player experience to feel like on patch 12.10. Players should feel like their champions take and deal less damage than before. Burst damage champions need to commit more heavily or be further ahead to pick up kills. Players should have larger windows of opportunity to outplay their enemies, and both skirmishes as well as teamfights should last longer than before. With so many changes in the game, I can't recommend working with a coach enough. Over at ProGuides.com, we have an incredible number of coaches who've helped their students improve and hit their ranked goals. Stay on top of the meta and talk to them. They're friendly and they're great at what they do. With the gameplay balance aside, let's talk about another game feature that you should be excited about. Everybody loves collectibles, and in honor of this year's Pride Month, Riot is planning on releasing new icons and emotes to celebrate. Included are emotes for Twisted Fate and Graves' Ship, as well as a plethora of Pengu icons to choose from. That settles it, it's all official. One other feature to be on the lookout for is for challenges. They've arrived with it and brought an incredible number of changes. Check out the player profile where they've received their own individual tab. Challenges are intended to provide a form of progression for every single player. They aren't just exclusive for try-hard ranked players, and instead allow for ARAMers, Clash players, and even collectors to strive towards something. Riot has already included more than 300 challenges on release, and there will be even more in the future as the game develops. A big crystal ball will display your progress. As you complete your challenges and increase your score, the crystal will evolve from Iron to Challenger. So yes, everyone can be Challenger, in some sense at least. The challenges are separated into different categories including Imagination, Expertise, Teamwork and Strategy, Veterancy, and Collection. I'm expecting a ton of creativity from the team that worked on this, and some of the current challenges include stuff like killing 20 minions in 3 seconds, or flame horizoning your opponent. Quick note, that just means ending the game with at least a 100 CS lead over your opponent. Every challenge includes a token, which is basically just a mission indicator. The tokens denote the challenger's name, its criteria, how many points it'll provide, which game was they're applicable in, and even the titles they provide once you hit gold. That's right, titles have officially been introduced to the game. To make room for challenges, Lobby UI has received some massive touch-ups. In the lobby, a challenge crystal will display below the summoner icon. While hovering over a player's summoner icon, it will reveal their current and past rank as well as more information about their challenges. Summoner names will remain in the same spot, but will be joined by titles right below them. Another change that's necessary for the addition of challenges is for the loading screen. Player cards will now have 3 pages to look through: game information, champion information, and player information. There will also be a quick switcher added that will allow you to scroll through all 10 player cards simultaneously. With the start of the games covered, the endgame screen will also receive a beautiful rework. It'll be split into 2 screens. The progression page will display rank progress, champion mastery, and summoner level on the left, and honor received in the lower right. You'll also see the challenges and Eternals that you leveled up, as well as any significant progress you made. Second is the scoreboard, which remains similar to the previous one. However, it comes with some upgrades, including the addition of lane position, KDA, a column that toggles between damage taken from champions, healing or shielding done, NCC score, a toggle for gold earned and minion killed, a column indicating what challenge players progress most in, as well as a display for honor received. To wrap up the addition of challenges, ranking master or higher in a challenge will put you in the server's leaderboard. When hovering over your own challenge token, it'll show you how you compare to the rest of the server. Hovering over somebody else's token in your lobby will compare your progress to theirs and will also show you their server rank if they're on the leaderboard. Before moving on, let me ask you the question of the day. What do you think of the UI changes? I love them, and I especially love the addition of titles, especially since they let you be more expressive in your player profile. However, I do think they need to work on their client. I don't know if anybody else's friend group is suffering from this, but after you finish your game, does your Discord just kind of mute for a bit? Anyway, let me know your answers in the comments below. For the next section, let's talk about the roster changes. Well, one in particular. We can make a whole video on roster changes and speculation, but we'll talk about a big one that NA fans are going crazy about. Sources say that Jensen is making his return to Cloud9. This is huge. His North American debut started with the team, and there's a good chance that he's running it back. Departing from the team in 2018 to play for Team Liquid for more than 3 years, it's certainly exciting to see him return to his original home away from home. The craziest part of all of this is that in spite of being one of the most renowned mid laners, he was left without a team last split. His return to competitive scene is certainly exciting, and fans are certainly anticipating the official news. Moving forward, we do have important things to discuss about the competitive scene. We're not talking about roster changes, roles, or even gameplay. Instead, we have to talk about the working conditions. Recent allegations put TSM Reginald under a ton of heat. This is some of the spiciest news we've heard, but let's put the drama aside and talk about the professional implications. Ultimately, this is a PR nightmare. A recent article by the Washington Post labels TSM as a workplace that instills a culture of fear. Ultimately, if workers are subject to mistreatment and a threatening environment, it's more than likely that players and staff are as well. While the video evidence is dated, there are some examples of the young CEO verbally reprimanding his team's players. How can players, coaches, or staff even speak out when they can possibly be reprimanded or even relieved of their roles for doing so? We'll never know exactly what went on behind the closed doors, but the fact that this is all being exposed is good news for all professionals, not just the ones on TSM. Community backlash and any repercussions that TSM leadership may face in the near future is a signal to organizations. Poor conditions and leadership should not be tolerated, and the harsher the consequences, the better. I'm hoping that this situation will serve as an example that in the future, we don't have to run into another mess like this. Many are left unsurprised by this recent news. There have been various past instances that implied potentially abusive leadership. The hostile work environment wasn't limited to TSM, as the article also drew attention towards Blitz, a company many League players are familiar with for their software and gaming apps. At the end of the day, employees felt afraid to ever disagree. Anonymous employees mentioned that workers who irritated CEO Andy Din would mysteriously get fired shortly after. Comments made by the former player Doublelift spurred previous investigations to allegations of bullying and verbal abuse. There's a lot more in the article related to employment and work conditions, and if it interests you, I definitely suggest checking it out. With all that being said, we'll wrap up our weekly news update. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below. There's a lot going on right now, and we'd love to hear your feedback and open up the room for discussion. Also, feel free to check out the description for a link to join our Discord. We'd love to have you guys be part of the community. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.